Hello and welcome to The Hill is Always Greener, a show where four friends have chill discussions about Sonic the Hedgehog to distract themselves from the inevitable passage of time and their own rapidly waning ability to relate to the youth. I said that verbatim. It's also known as We're All a Bunch of Nerds and We're Old, and that's the premise of the podcast. Yay!
It's 100% true.
Yes, I'm Faulerro. Hello.
I'm CyberLink.
I'm GameBuddy.
And I'm RockTheJake.
We're all here to talk about hedgehogs once again.
Snock.
So, before we get started with the fun little topic that we're going to get on, any Sonic-y things that anybody's been up to this past week?
I think we've all been studying the word.
Yes,
true.
we have been doing that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We've been so focused and occupied by the topic at hand because it's one that we can't approach lightly because it is, yes, as Jeremy put it, it is the word, is the official word of Sonic, the holy knowledge and everything that makes up Sonic and who he is, I believe.
At least as far as the United States and most of the UK go.
So that's what makes it especially important, is that last bit, the UK, yeah. So for me, this is my holy scripture of Sonic. Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Sonic the Hedgehog Bibles. But this is not, as much as we giggle and joke, it's not actually about Sonic religion. We had enough discussion about that last time. This is... how do we describe these? These are the origin stories proposed for Sonic the Hedgehog in the West, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, basically the idea was that Sega needed to be able to market Sonic. So they did what a lot of, companies and properties will do, and they create basically a lore Bible to give licensors and advertisers and everything a sense of, okay, who is this character? What is this franchise, this world? How best to portray these characters in official products, and sort of just general guidelines as to how best to convey Sonic as a property to the people they're trying to advertise to, both within and outside of Sega for, external licensors.
And why is he so radical?
The most radical.
That is an important question. No joke, the word radical has come up more times in my reading of these documents than it has for the past 20 years, I think. That is an important part of his character in the West. Yeah, I feel like there was so much work that went into Sonic and crafting his image as this 90s icon that they wanted to make sure that people understood just how radical he truly was, and these were the initial plans for that. But you know what? If you're like a modern Sonic fan, or maybe even an American Sonic fan, a lot of this stuff is probably new to you, because so much of this didn't make it into any of the Western adaptations or media. But it's right here, and we're here to talk about the strangeness of Sonic's backstory, at least according to the people who put it together.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you really get into it, because a lot of it comes down to the fact that, when they were presented the original kind of pitches for Sonic from Sega of Japan, Sega of America is like, this is a bit much. We can't really market this to an American audience. We need to almost water it down a little, make it a little more palatable for both, a Western and almost more global audience in general. We hear stories about how what they originally got was, a much more aggressive kind of punk Sonic with fangs. We've all seen the picture of him with his human girlfriend, Madonna, which is,
yes.
Again, it's a lot when you really get down to it.
All of the very 80s anime girls with animal ears and costumes.
We're going to go down that rabbit hole eventually, the specifics of that, because that's a fun topic for another day.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it was Madeline Schroeder, the product manager of Sonic the Hedgehog for Sega of America, who sort of stepped in, was like, maybe not so much this.
Yeah.
And that's why we got the largely westernized Sonic that we're used to seeing, at least during the 90s.
I'm really thankful that that there are videos and interviews specifically with Madeline where she talks about this experience and how it was very much not this is too foreign to market to kids over here. It was very much a streamlining. She very much seemed like she had her finger on the pulse of what was fixing to happen, especially with kids media. I think we was able to find a source that says that she is responsible for at least most of the text in some of these original drafts. And like she talks about how she flew to Japan to like present this, like went there herself to explain how this is going to go maybe over a little bit better as far as marketing goes in the West.
I mean, that's just Sonic, isn't it? Like, Sonic was always a collaboration between, like, Japan and America originally in terms of its marketing.
And it's kind of amazing that it did work out in that way as much as it did, because, you know, you talk to anybody from that era, Sega Japan and Sega America did not get along. They did not see eye to eye in a lot of regards. So the fact that they were able to kind of make Sonic as a property work as well as they did is nothing short of a miracle.
That's Sonic in general, really. It's all everything falling into place in a way that you would not expect to happen in this day and age. It's magical.
Yep.
But also required a lot of stepping in and saying, maybe not the Fangs, maybe not the Fangirls, maybe not the Jessica Rabbit stand-in. Madeline Schroeder would call herself the mother of Sonic because she cares about her children, and in this case, Sonic.
Yeah, I very much agree with. I think she definitely earned that moniker after going over all this material, because there are, and we'll get into specific passages, but I mean, there are literally paragraphs of text that have like carried over the entire 30 years of Sonic, as far as like his attitudes, his personality, his worldview. It's how I would describe like modern Sonic as well.
That's really impressive that it managed to survive the process all this time.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of it, but when you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's Sonic. That still reads like Sonic. But if you just take a look at the broad, general nature of the first Sonic Bible, which really is just a 13-page document detailing his backstory, you might not think this is very Sonic-y. This is set, like, I suppose we're moving on to the first one here. This is it.
Do we want to move straight into the first one, or do we want to talk about the Japanese one that ultimately never got used?
You know what? Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So we didn't find this out until very recently, like within the last 3 or 4 years, but Hirokazu Yasuhara and Naoto Oshima revealed at a GDC conference a few years back that the original pitch for Sonic was that he was supposed to be literally a fictional character within kind of the context of the fiction that was based on a real-life World War II fighter pilot with a penchant for speed and spiky hair that earned him the nickname Hedgehog, and that Sonic was a character that was just printed on the front of his plane. And years later, his wife would go on to write a children's book based on his exploits that recast him as a hedgehog. And this is all within the context of this larger narrative. And it's like, this is a lot.
So like an inception of fiction upon fiction.
Yeah.
Oh, very, very interesting. Yeah, I think that came up in, what was it, one of the original 90s Sonic movie pitch.
We just heard about this very recently.
Yeah.
Yes. And we'll link all this into the description as well, because it is very new information to the majority of us, I'm sure. But part of the reason that pitch fell apart was that Sega of Japan wanted them to incorporate that backstory, the backstory that I don't even know if like most of the people in Sega knew about.
Yeah. And Sega of America was like, no, we cannot let our mascot actually be human. Hard pass.
Or yeah, the way you describe it is like not even sort of human, but like a character within a character based on a fictional. Oh man, that sounds very silly. I'll say it, darn it.
Yeah.
It's silly.
Well, you know, if you listen to the original demo track by Masato Nakamura of the Sonic Hedgehog theme, I'm pretty sure you hear a jet engine going by at the very beginning of it. That's been there, baked into the DNA as long as we've known.
Perhaps.
Or maybe that's just Sonic going fast, but I don't know. I like to think. That's the initial Sonic story, and I feel like there are similarities here, because what we're looking at when we have the first ever Bible document of Sonic is they really want Sonic to not only be on Earth, but be in America. Because this is set in the town of Hardly, Nebraska.
Do you mind if I just read this first paragraph? Because I really think it sets the tone for the entire thing. Okay. Excuse me.
Backing music, start, fade in.
Sonny Hedgehog was born on Earth in the early 21st century in the town of Hardly, Nebraska, population 1,226. He and his mother and 5 sisters live underneath a scraggly hedge beside the local burger joint and subsist on burger scraps, milkshakes, and the occasional slug or bug that crawls their way. They are a poor but happy family. Unfortunately, Sonny's dad died when Sonny was just a few days old after falling into a gurgling, festering vat of toxic waste dumped into a nearby pond.
I want some really pleasant music to be going on in the background while you read that.
Just always gurgling.
I really do think that sets the tone for the entirety of the rest of this, because it's like you said, they want to kind of make him a down-to-earth character. Now, there are some details that are missing from this thing. They don't talk about, like, okay, you infer through the rest of the text that he is like an anthropomorphic cartoon hedgehog, but also that they live in a hole behind a McDonald's and eat trash.
And they don't speak English properly without the help of some other machinery.
Yeah.
It's strange. It is really... I guess this is just a version of the world where hedgehogs can walk around and interact with people like that.
It is a bit weird. I did check. No, there is no place called Hardly, Nebraska, but there is a place called Hardy, Nebraska. It is apparently a very small town with a population that has never exceeded like 500 people.
Wow, okay.
We need to find out about their wildlife, just in case.
Just in case.
So to kind of piggyback off of what Luke was saying, I occasionally have an interest in really small towns and stuff, and I just like learning about different cities and how they work. So I looked into Hardy, Nebraska a little bit more, and it's interesting. As of today, Hardy is considered a village that is just shy of half a square mile in its total area, which is really small.
That's about a kilometer and a half square kilometers for our UK listeners.
And so as of a census 12 years ago, back in 2010, it said that around 159 people live there, as opposed to the in here 1,226. So it's just interesting to think of over 1,000 people cramped into what is essentially a big neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of there being fewer human characters in this world, so that makes for a better Sonic story to me.
It does almost kind of fit with how Green Hills is portrayed in the live action Sonic movie. Just this very small, small town where everybody knows each other, and then also there is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel that's the one thing that survived.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things in this material that I definitely think inspired the live action movie.
In this first Sonic Bible, it mentions that Sonic loves people and that he's a bit of a prankster, and those are definitely two things that are very apparent in the movie, because of the fact that he always goes to watch movies through the window of the main human character, and he also, I don't think he in his spare time plays pranks, but during certain parts of the movie he kind of sets up actions that are prank worthy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of pranking. He does the whole Blue Devil thing with Crazy Carl and his traps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. One of the notes that I wrote was that I hope the second movie kind of leans into some more of the lore from the Sonic Bible, especially one part of the Bible that mentions that Sonic is such a nice guy that he goes around giving quills to people, especially the local quilting circle, and that would be freaking amazing to see in the second movie.
That would be great, but consider that in these movies, Sonic's quills are powered with special energy, so that would make for quite the scene.
There is a scene in the Bible where Sonic curls himself into a ball at a bowling alley, lets somebody throw him, and then just at the last second he uncurls and runs off. I feel like that is a prime gag that they would absolutely use in the live action movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, please.
I do think it is a bit strange seeing Sonic with a family. I know that's like a thing throughout Sat AM and Archie, but Sonic having a hedgehog family and him being called Sonny.
Yeah.
And another interesting fact about Sonic, well, I should say Sonny, before he becomes Sonic, is that he was born with thick, bushy brown quills. So...
Oh, yes, of course, that's important.
Yeah.
Just a regular, dull as dirt hedgehog.
So before people complain about green eyes, they should complain about brown quills.
It's right here. It's right here from the beginning, from before the beginning.
And also became a track star, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Just your regular, average, run-of-the-mill hedgehog who's training for the Olympics.
Although he loved playing practical jokes on people, Sonny also loved people. While making the rounds for juicy tidbits and gossip, he would drop in on the ladies of the local quilting circle to offer a convenient pen or needle from his ample, portable supply. He spent the summer frolicking in the town park with the other children, donating quills so that they could scribble designs in the sandbox. In time, he noticed that his playmates drew the same pattern over and over again while pointing at him. Sonny! In this fashion, over a few weeks, Sonny learned to read and write. He was some hedgehog. And yet, he was becoming a god among men.
I was about to say, is that a Charlotte's Web?
I know, yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
That's
some hedgehog.
I like to imagine some people don't know how it's spelled, so like hedgehog.
It took a couple tries.
I mean, that is also another thing that this is a United States American thing, but like we do not have a native species of hedgehog. Sonic was definitely the first time I had ever heard of what a hedgehog was.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because we have those all, like, in the wildlife over here, so...
Oh, that's cool.
I wasn't aware they were so strange and rare for you guys.
I think we even have that later. I don't know if it's the proper Latin name, but it's...
Erinaceus europaeus, which is like a European hedgehog. Yeah, like it's baked into it.
For some reason, for a long time, I always thought porcupines were the same as hedgehogs, and they are not.
Oh, no, they are not.
Porcupines have much longer quills compared to hedgehogs. Hedgehogs are slightly smaller than porcupines. They measure only 12 inches long, while porcupines can reach up to 15 inches long.
Yeah, porcupines are chunky boys, if you ever see them.
Oh, yeah, they're big.
So they have the expansion DLC.
I was about to say, porcupines will fuck you up, too.
You're not wrong.
But porcupines only eat plants, whereas hedgehogs are carnivorous. So it is canon that Sonic can eat chili dogs.
There you go.
They have scary little teeth.
I was going to say, there's no mention of chili dogs anywhere in the Bible, but it does talk about how, we mentioned earlier, Sonic eats scraps from behind the local fast food joint. So that does kind of bring up, like, I remember some of like the early Martin Adams novels for Sonic would say that he enjoys, burgers and other fast food and stuff. So that might actually have some roots in this Bible.
I think it's also like a Flash thing, because they're like, he needs the calories, so he
That's
can
true.
use
That's
his
true.
super speed.
Yeah, there's a line that shows up in the other drafts and in Stay Sonic that it says Sonic doesn't eat or drink, diet, anything. He needs the calories.
It kind of makes sense in a way. If you want to actually start applying real world digestive and dietary stuff onto this fictional hedgehog.
I mean, the moment you start trying to apply real world stuff to Sonic the Hedgehog, you go down a deep, dark path that I don't think we want to even think about.
Now that he's pushing 30, I mean, he really should go to his doc and get his triglycerides checked out at least.
His cholesterol might not be in a great state.
Yeah.
We've talked a bit about Sonic's, early life and how he befriended the many, many people here in Hardley, Nebraska. I think it's about time we start to get into some of the really good stuff in this Bible, i.e. him meeting Mr. Ovi Kintobor.
Yeah, basically what happens is that Sonic, as we mentioned, ends up on the track team, does really well, but he has to interrupt his Olympic hopefulness to hibernate with all of his other family.
That's another weird thing to hear mentioned in Sonic, like an actual real hedgehog thing.
He does not end up falling asleep right away. He's like, there's really no reason I have to sleep all winter. I can tunnel out a little bit. Nobody will ever miss me. But while he's tunneling, he falls asleep. And sometime later, he wakes up when a machine starts digging right near him. And as he emerges to find out what it is, here we are. He scrambled through the pipe, his toes clattering on the metal. After what seemed innumerable twists and turns, he saw the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. Relieved, he ran toward it and tumbled head over heels out of the pipe and into an immense room. Well, well, look who we have here! Irenaceus Europaeus! A trim, kindly mustachioed man bent over Sonny. Sonny had been called many things in his life, but never something so strange as this. Are you all right? The man asked. Wait a minute, silly of me. Let me aim the lingua scramblerum at you and see what you've got to say. Sonny was too dazed to protest as the man wheeled over an odd-looking contraption that was somehow shaped like all the letters in the alphabet mashed up together. He pointed at Sonny. My name's not S.C., it's Sonny, and what's happening out there underground? Sonny heard himself squeak in an accusing tone of voice. He had never spoken human before. Oh, that! Sorry to disturb you. That's my Cogwinder retractable particulate core. I'm using it to dig for emeralds. Found 6, looking for the 7th. Then my work will be done. The man explained, smiling and speaking very quickly. He seemed to have a lot on his mind and few words to waste. He'd already returned to an enormous control panel at the far end of the room, where green and red lights danced and ribbons of paper spewed from a printer. I love all the completely ridiculous inventions that Kintobor comes up with, even in just this first scene.
They definitely get even sillier as time goes by. Even when they start to settle on just like a couple of machines that have practical implications to the game world, they're still very, very silly.
Interesting note there. He mentioned he's found 6 emeralds looking for the 7th. Now, this was made around Sonic 1 time, right?
Yes.
Before we had 7 emeralds. That's interesting.
This might be my favorite little tidbit because I see how... I wonder if there was some synergy here originally, because he's talking about the 6 Chaos Emeralds that are featured in Sonic 1. We get his, this is, like we said, this is Dr. Ofi Kintober, and he's using his powerful genius brain and dedicated his life's work into saving the planet that has become polluted not only with toxic waste and, the unending march of industrialized capitalism, but also just like pure evil feelings. And so what Kintober is wanting to do is to condense the evil of the world into these magical emeralds. But in order to complete the process, needs the 7th emerald, which is referred to as the gray emerald, which will stabilize and control the others. And I know that this gets used in, I think even makes it as far as like getting used as a concept in Sonic the comic. But the first thing that I think of is it's the Master Emerald.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny that. It's the Master Emerald without being the Master Emerald.
The controller is the one that unifies the chaos.
Exactly. Like I said, I wonder if that wasn't some kind of like synergy with Sega, like when the floating island got fleshed out, if that wasn't plucked out of there as like, oh, what if we had, a Master Controller Emerald to be able to use in the story.
But this introduces us to Ovi Kintober, and we've no fanfare about who this character is, but listeners of our podcast, if only you could see the words written out in front of you and maybe reverse them in the other way, and you might get a hint as to who this character might actually be.
Yeah.
Nilbog is goblin spelled backwards.
Red rum?
It is funny how the Kintober Robotnik thing, it might be the thing that made it into the most media, because Archie used it as Robotnik's birth as he was Julian Kintober.
Julian of that house. No, was it? Yeah, Julian of the House of Kintober. Like,
yeah. Something. I think they may have thrown Evo in there as well.
Right.
Yep. Yes, it's silly. Also, come on, it's very good.
I can get behind it. Kintober had another goal: to rescue any poisoned or struggling animal he managed to find in the course of his excavation. Dozens of bunnies, squirrels, ducks, and even baby piglets were among the regular group of guests residing in the lab. All were welcome to spend time gaining strength, resting, and eating Kintober's excellent cooking. When fully recovered, they were encouraged to return to the wild. During this particularly severe winter, the animals were only too happy to remain in the lab until spring, a fact that was very good news for Sonny. So right there, we get our introduction as to why there are all these animals that later on Robotnik will go on to have in his possession and be able to turn into his robots and stuff in capsules and stuff.
And what we get the addition of in second and later drafts of this Bible is they straight up like name these little creatures, some of the names that would go on to be featured in mostly Sonic the Comic. You've got everything from Sally Acorn and
I can name them all off the top of my head. Johnny Lightfoot, Porker Lewis, Tux, Chirps, Flicky. Well, Flicky was already there.
Yeah.
Flicky was already existing within another game, even. And Joe Sushi.
Joe Sushi, my man.
Yeah, these things would be established in one of these Bibles, but
Porker Lewis is still one of the worst puns I've ever heard in my life.
I had no idea that it was a reference to something, because I don't think we had that show over here.
For the audience members and me who might not know what the reference is, what is it?
An old sitcom called Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
It went over my head too. Of course, they also throw in a promo comic, also based on this Bible. Sonic makes a Rico Suave reference, and I mean, come on! Like if there isn't a prime example of how they would also just throw in random '90s pop culture to try and make Sonic seem cool.
I like that they even go so far as to be like, well, Sonic has a dead father, but now he sees Kintobor as this father figure that he never had, which it's sappy, but I kind of like it. It gives the whole thing a little bit more pathos when you realize what's going to happen down the line.
So let's read a little bit. I shall do a reading from the holy text, if you don't mind. The days flew by, with Sonny by Dr. K's side almost constantly. Sonny learned computer science, from building small portable computers to programming the mainframe. He learned about physics, the old laws, as well as a few new theories set forth by Dr. K.
Whoops.
Sorry, Maddie, maybe needed to proofread this a little bit. His curiosity was boundless, and led him into every part of Kintober's lab as he documented the results of each experiment. As the lab was vast, Sonny soon took to running at top speeds to perform all his duties. How odd, he thought, to find himself gradually replacing dreams of Olympic glory with a dedication to science and helping the other animals. Still, he knew he'd never be a nerd like Dr. K. So partly for relaxation and partly for Dr. K's amusement, he logged in several hours a day on the supersonic treadmill that Kintober had built for him. Slowly, Sonny built his speed to 200, 400, then 761 miles per hour, the speed of sound. Then, impossibly, he crossed all known limits of acceleration and began running at the speed of light. Hang on, that's a bit much.
that part doesn't carry over past this draft, I don't think, because
the sonic speed is, the speed of light is a bit much. Alarmed, Kintobor tried to slow the treadmill. Although he managed to gain control of the machine and bring his friend's velocity down slowly, a change had come over Sonny. Instead of his unexceptional greyish-brown colour, most of his body had turned cobalt blue, and his quills stood straight back in a stiff mohawk. "My word!" exclaimed Kintobor, who struggled to comprehend what had just happened. "I think you've gone blue from the advanced non-concussive cobalt effect," he said, helping Sonny from the treadmill. 186,000 miles per second. You're so fast we should call you Sonic. Supersonic even. How do you like that? He cried, dancing around the lab like a demented pixie. Interesting. Yeah, I like that, answered Sonny. From now on, my name is Sonic. Now watch how fast I can help you get your work done. So there we go. Numerous origins there.
Sonic then proceeded to rip a tear in the fabric of time and space.
Yeah.
Listen, Sonic being able to break the speed of sound, I can believe.
But this is just going too far.
This is one of those details I'm not sure if I really like or not, because I guess I like Sonic being like colorful and blue, just like as a natural thing.
Yeah.
I get what they were going for, but I guess what doesn't gel is like, okay, he's born with super speed, especially in this where he is, breaking all known laws of all physics, but he wasn't blue. I don't know. I guess that's just a personal thing. I can almost gel with everything, but the fake cobalt effect turning him blue.
I think what it is like at this time there weren't all these neon colored like animal characters, so they wanted to give an explanation for it. We would learn later on that this is just standard for characters to have like weird colors and to have
True.
like special powers naturally.
This is before Tails, before Knuckles, before Amy.
Yeah, it makes sense in the context of the Bible they've been writing, where Sonic is just an ordinary hedgehog, and they want a reason why, he looks the way he does.
Again, an ordinary cartoon hedgehog who learns to read and write and speak and was going to be in the 21st century Olympics.
It is worth noting that I don't think you're the only one who had these issues, because if you look at the first draft that came after this, somebody was writing in pen, saying, adding all these extra notes. Possibly someone from Sega of America or Sega somewhere saying, no, he was born with the ability to run.
Yes, that is funny that there are literal red lines in some of these drafts preserved. And yeah, there were people who were like, no, this is silly. But then this origin does carry forward in all of these documents and makes it into Sonic the comic.
Yeah, they would not be denied Sonic's superhero. This is a superhero origin story.
Oh, 100%.
Very much so. Although that is another thing that gets notes in, I think the promo comic that uses this is the first draft at that was specifically turned around and they said, please make it so Sonic does not sound like a comic superhero, which, we're still very popular coming out of the 80s. You've got some, if I remember correctly, some real iconic runs of Spider-Man and stuff like that. But they specifically did not want Sonic to sound like, a 60s Superman.
They specifically said, he sounds too kick-ass. We don't like this. That's the word.
Yeah, Sonic is only allowed to sound like 60s Superman in the dub of Sega Sonic Cosmo Fighter.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Bringing that back.
Looks like Dr. Robotnik escaped.
So that's the initial accident that happened.
Yeah.
That's the origin of one character, but I think we've got another on the way.
The more significant accident involves the reverse quantum bioformulator.
The first name for what this machine is going to be like.
Yeah.
I think it gets a few of these over the course of this.
that one is there.
Amazing transforming machine.
Yeah, the ATM.
The ATM. It's not until Stay Sonic and Sonic the Comic that I think they ultimately settle on the Retro Orbital Chaos Compressor, or the ROCC.
Or the Rock, if you like to say it like that.
Yeah.
So there is another incident with the machine that Kintobra has developed to channel the evil energies of the world into these emeralds. And as is pointed out multiple times, he has not found the 7th gray emerald to stabilize them and I guess contain it forever, leading to an infinite prosperity on the planet forever and ever and complete his life's work.
Forever and ever, amen.
It is worth noting that he made these emeralds himself. These grey emerald, I guess, exists elsewhere, but he's apparently formed these emeralds, or at least constructed them in that form.
He's made them. That was what he's been digging for. But I think that goes forward is that he has. These would not exist without his interference.
To quote Kintobor himself, "They're perfect. Cut them myself," Kintobor boasted. "They contain a microlytic copy of all the inert energy of every gross and disgusting impulse or deed done by humans since the beginning of time." Sonic gulped. "You mean they're evil?" "Yes, evil and highly unstable. Pure chaotic energy," Kintobor sighed. "I transmorph the chaos of the world into the emeralds using the RQBF. Now the only thing remaining to do is to stabilize them with the gray emerald. Until we find the gray emerald, we're treading on very thin ice. If the emeralds are disturbed, in theory, they will double the amount of evil in the world. Stabilized, they will rid the world of evil and pollution. That done, I plan to launch them into space where they can harm no one," he said.
So how did he get the evil in there?
It's the reverse quantum bioformulator.
Yeah.
Oh, right, of course. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's important to note that they are eating lunch while they're doing this, and Kintobor has a half-eaten egg as his, which is actually surprisingly important.
Yes.
Yes, because there is a mysterious burst of solar energy that causes the RQBF machine to... oh man, just go crazy. It zaps the room, it zaps Kintobor, it zaps the emeralds, it zaps the half-eaten hard-boiled egg, and Oh, the process is described as transferring even a small portion of the evil that's been contained into the emeralds into poor Kintober. And after the dust settles, our newly christened Blue Sonic looks on in horror at his new best friend father figure's name tag has been reversed. And now he stands as the roundly shaped, foul-smelling, pure evil creature that is Dr. Ivo Robotnik. And this really, like, I knew of this origin from hearsay, from just other Sonic fans, from Sonic the comic, but I can't believe I didn't, like, connect the dots that this kind of injects a bit of tragedy into Sonic's relationship with Robotnik. I think we've talked about, especially in modern continuities, like, Robotnik is so bad, and some edgy Sonic fans are like, well, why doesn't Sonic just kill him so he can't hurt anybody anymore? And the answer right here is that because they were friends, and that Sonic knows that somewhere deep down inside that old Ovi Kintabor is still there, and maybe someday he might be able to bring him back. And it's crazy that I immediately saw the parallel, and I don't know if Ian has ever confirmed this in the IDW Sonic continuity, but that there is a lot of that. I see a lot of that parallels with Mr. Tinker, where Dr. Eggman has had some retrograde amnesia and thinks he's a helpful little toy maker. And I think that injects a lot of lasting personality into Sonic himself. They make it very clear he's a punk. He doesn't do well with authority. He kind of lives by his own way, but he also loves people. He loves his friends and the world he lives in, and ultimately believes that there is good in all of that. And the tragedy of Dr. Kintober just really, really stuck with me in these early documents.
I can say that I'm totally here for it.
It's a bit weird that he combined with the egg, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, they explicitly mentioned that, like, he is now he is an Eggman. Like, he stinks like rotten eggs. He he becomes like a disgusting goblin man who doesn't shower and eats nothing but eggs with his hands, and describes getting runny yolks all over his mouth.
It is so strange that they so heavily leaned into the egg motif, but they still changed his name from Eggman. It's so bizarre.
Well, you can't spell anything with Eggman backwards, I guess, so they just had to go.
I think that basically brings us to the end of the initial 13-page document. That's more or less the origin of Sonic, according to Madeline Schroeder originally, and, well, I guess the UK origin. Like, we're going to get into more of this, but this is, like, it. This is what I knew as Sonic's backstory for a long time.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just here. Like, obviously, I didn't even know about this Bible. It was in Sonic the Comic. It was in Stay Sonic. It was in the various books that we had, the Adventure Game books, the Martin Adams novels. Like, none of this Nebraska stuff, none of this Earth stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this was, because we'll get into the changes. But this is, like, the very basic idea of Sonic Sonic started off as a brown hedgehog, gained his power of speed and his blueness, and Robotnik used to be Dr. Kintabor, his friend, and is now just an evil man who's like sucked up all the evil, and that's just who he is. That's it. That's right here, right in these 13 pages. We would get some drafts. There are some other drafts online. The second one, well, I suppose it's listed as draft 1, but I consider it like the second draft of this.
Yeah, but more like revision 1.
Yeah, this is like 16 pages. It's more of a thorough reference document, not just a story now. It seems to, like, it was, like you said, it was supposed to explain the franchise and the vibe of Sonic. This, like, gives people an outline, but it's still very early. But they make sure to point out that none of this is meant to be contradicted. You can build upon it, but don't contradict it.
Yeah.
So we'll keep that in mind for when they make other media products after this. But like we mentioned before, there are like various like red line notes like throughout this. I don't know who was writing them. Someone in the higher upper echelon of Sega, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I assume it's still Madeline Schroeder writing the Bible because her name is on the second page. But
someone was coming in being like, no. So, like I mentioned, one of the things, like the Sonic's power, was something they disagreed with. Madeline pushed through on that. But right on, it starts off with, like, it mentions, like, Sonic and Kintober become friends. And someone's written in big text, not. Another very 90s thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very insistent that Sonic was born blue and fast. But what we've got here, one of the biggest changes that we have throughout this is no longer is it in Hardly, Nebraska. We hardly knew you. Now we've moved on to Planet Mobius for the first time. So that's pretty cool, I think.
It also shows that Mobius as a concept was something Sega of America did come up with, but was not like oh gosh, I remember in like the early days of the internet, people insisting that it was like a translation error from an interview with a Japanese developer, and some stupid Sega of America person just slapped that in the manual, when this was obviously like very intentionally planned out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's right here in the text. Planet Mobius, a separate location from Earth. It just gives Sonic like a place for all his furry friends to be, so you don't need quite as much elaborate explanation. There are still explanations. We've still, like, Sonic's keeping his backstory of gaining the blueness and the speed. But now it's just like, well, I guess this is on another planet now, so that's why things are the way they are. At least that's how I interpret it.
And aside from the change of setting, it's still relatively similar to the original origin. Like, it's still Ovi Kintobor trying to, like, absorb the evils of the world and, detoxify Mobius using the Chaos Emeralds, find the Control Emerald, launch him into space.
Well, actually, this time he wants to send the emeralds to the frozen core of Mobius, since that's a thing, apparently.
Yeah, we do get a little in the Sonic's personality section. We do get established that he was orphaned in the Green Hill Zone.
No parents this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no parents.
Sorry, Sonic.
But also, I like, and I think this pops up in Stay Sonic, that it just says that, yeah, Sonic was orphaned, but also that he just kind of popped up.
Just came out of nowhere.
They do start integrating some of the other game mechanics as well. Like, they specifically, the RQBF is now the amazing transforming machine, as we mentioned. And it mentions that it consists of thousands of gold rings that constantly flow positive energy around the machine's core and cool it down as it transfers evil from one robot into another. And then they also mentioned that Kintobor put all of the, like, little computers that would become the item boxes around Green Hill and everywhere, so that anybody with information about the location of the missing emerald can potentially send them in to him, and he can do, like, recon and stuff. So just kind of laying the groundwork for why all of these things are scattered around the world.
Yeah, I actually really like that. It is also interesting to just straight up have them referred to as personal computers.
Yeah.
Like they are terminals and not just like cathode ray televisions laying around.
Robotnik sets up a bunch of Apple IIe's all across Green Hill Zone.
And they're not just like, they could easily have just said they're there, just like the little item boxes in Mario. That's just part of the world.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we want to have a reason for everything, I guess.
Which kind of does gel with the fact that the Green Hill and Mobius is supposed to be like an unspoiled magical forest wonderland that has like come under attack by like the forces of pollution.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, they literally are explaining, well, why would there be a bunch of monitors in the middle of the forest? And it's like, Dr. Kintober put them there.
Also, when it comes to explaining like concepts from the game, we also have like what the secret zones are, the bonus stages. They're the warps of confusion.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I love that name. It's very good.
Oh, it is very funny.
That is a good way to describe those special stages if you spend enough time playing them.
Yeah. I feel like they jump between a couple of drafts of this, whether they are naturally occurring areas because of the Chaos Emeralds or straight up like created by Robotnik to, keep people from getting the emeralds.
Yeah. In this draft, they are naturally occurring, just weird pockets of space-time, I guess. And then they also say, the accident with the machine ultimately is what causes the rings to be scattered throughout all the different zones.
I just like that. I like these little explanations. They didn't need to do that, but they decided they did.
So just for funsies, I'd propose that it'd be fun to look over the likes and dislikes in this first draft of both Sonic and Robotnik.
Yes.
I was going to bring up at least I think the objectives in life is what I was mentioning earlier that like carries forward with Sonic in every version even today. But yeah, some of these are hilarious.
And like some of these likes I actually kind of saw reflected in some of those recent Adventures of Sonic episodes we watched for the last episode.
Yeah, especially the horny part.
I mean, when they specifically mentioned, like, what was the wording they used here? Because I've got it written down. Watching shapely hedgehogettes stroll by.
Damn it.
Sonic loves fast footwork, fast cars, specifically red convertibles, skateboards on hills, video games, anything or any way to move through life at top speed. His favorite diet? Fast food and candy bars. What else? Ooh, a little too relatable there. Sonic loves burgers, tacos, nachos, fries, anything chocolate, and the strongest espresso or cola if it's a hot day. Sonic doesn't eat or drink diet anything. He needs the calories, but when he does slow down, there's nothing Sonic likes more than hitting the beach with his friends, watching shapely hedgehogettes stroll by, catching some rays. That's when he's not body surfing, windsurfing, or competing in contests to see who can build the most awesome sandcastle in the shortest amount of time. The only thing Sonic stresses out over is the times he must wait for a trap to move into position so he can get over it or around it. Patience is not one of Sonic's strong points. If he falls into the hands of a slow player, he'll cop his trademark, "What's the matter with you, dude?" attitude and tap his foot with impatience.
I'm waiting.
I really love that idea. Like, I've just always loved the idea that Sonic is like the one in control in those situations. Like, he's self-aware. He's like, "Yo, come on. You're in control of a cool dude here. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I've got more chocolate burgers to eat.
I do love, it's what I mentioned earlier about how some of this I think carries forward into even the modern interpretations of Sonic. I love the objectives in life blurb that says, objectives in life, to have fun and enjoy the ride. Life is a blast. If you don't stop to think about it, that sums up Sonic's philosophy. As long as he has his supersonic speed, his sneakers, and his good buddies, Sonic is one cool and happy dude. And I just love that. I think that is
very Sonic.
Yeah.
a great thing to build anything off of is just that, you know, Sonic's not dumb. He's not self-centered. He's just simple in his objectives for life.
I also read it as like, Sonic's also trying to run away from the dark thoughts.
Yeah, it does come up several that, I mean, Sonic is very generic punk rock as far as like being, you know, he doesn't do good with authority, doesn't want to be told what to do, but he genuinely cares about the people around him, because what if he didn't have those, then what's the point, man?
Carefree and radically cool. That's what Sonic is all about. Nothing deep. That's not to say Sonic is an airhead. When he's not teasing you or playing a joke on you, he's probably the best friend you could ever hope for. He cares about his forest pals and delights in coming to their rescue. Then there's Sonic's attitude. When he wants something, he goes for it, 150%. Sonic does not respond well to authority. He just doesn't have time to listen to someone else tell him what to do. Instead, he'd rather figure it out for himself or just do whatever needs to be done without thinking about it. He's cocky, independent, self-assured, but not obnoxious or cruel.
I don't know about that last part as an STC fan.
I was going to say.
I joke.
Yeah. One more clue about Sonic's personality, he's more than a bit vain about his blue spikes. His spikes are always perfect. In Sonic's world, slobs finish last.
Another red line there, where slob has been changed to imperfectionist, which I get it, but also that doesn't really flow.
I think it gets changed back to slobs in the next draft.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Can I just... the one thing that does get removed here is this is a carryover from the last one where it says... Like earlier on, when in his physical characteristics, they mentioned Sonic's only physical failings, which they've crossed out physical, are his poor eyesight, and they've scribbled it out and put lack of fear, etc. That's right, Sonic does not experience fear.
What's my only downside? I'm too fucking cool, man.
I mean, that is something that does carry over a lot into future Sonic media, is the fact that he does not scare as easily as most people makes him overconfident. I think that is like a good weakness for a character like this to have.
Instead of just giving him poor eyesight.
Another small tangent, but yeah, the middle of that, it says he's too fast for his own good, and it's hard to break, as far as like tumbling off of a cliff, and that literally happens in that promo comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
goes right over a cliff and almost lands right on some spikes, just like the game.
Oh.
We've talked about Sonic's likes, dislikes, his personality, all that. It's only fair to talk about Dr. Ivo Robotnik's. I have to remember he has a PhD. He'd like to be referred to as doctor.
He earned
I mean,
it.
they go into that here, actually, I think, when they talk about his history as Kintabor.
They definitely go deeper into it in some later drafts, but they talk a lot about, how Kintabor was trying to detoxify Mobius, transformation, everything. Although he looks like an egg, Robotnik is definitely not cracked. Unfortunately, he still possesses nearly all of his formidable intellect and now uses it for evil purposes. Robotnik holds every advanced scientific credential possible from all 11 Ivy League universities on Mobius, as well as the Mobius Prize in Physics and Biotechnology. Now evil, he plans to further augment his mental capacities by embedding a ceramic neural network in his brain so that he can carry out physics calculations in his sleep. Robotnik has always adored and still adores eggs. Hard-boiled, scrambled, over-easy, poached, or in an omelet. Now, he especially enjoys them raw with a dash of Tabasco. He eats with his hands very slowly. It is not a pretty sight. Robotnik dislikes any creature with an independent spirit, hence he hates Sonic. Also, he realizes Sonic is onto his plot to take over and to spoil Mobius.
I like that the first thing is that, like, I hate how independent he is. Also, he keeps getting in my way.
Yeah.
I want to break his independence.
He's a nasty egg-eating freak.
Just trying to imagine him eating an egg with his hands, just like crumpling up the shell, and it's running down his fingers. And
Well, you know what? To try to give credence to the image, the other night I was trying to make an omelet for dinner, and I decided to try to crack an egg in a different way, where basically I ended up cracking it and spilling it onto the stovetop and desperately trying to clean it up with paper towels. So you could imagine him just like throwing a whole dozen on a table and just going,
No.
I'm glad you have like physical experience with that sort of thing, so you get to be getting deep dive into the mind of Dr. Ivo Robotnik.
Yeah.
I'm channeling the Evo right now.
I'm glad this didn't translate visually into any of the other mediums, because it just seems like a bit much.
A smidge.
I feel like we got a little bit of it in STC, at least some ugly, gross egg things. But yeah, the idea of him just fondling this egg and no.
So yeah, a lot of the remainder of this is kind of some light descriptions on some of the other little Mobinis, Robotniks, Badniks.
You know, all of Sonic's friends: rabbit, squirrel, pig, Flicky the duck, penguin, chicken, and seal. And dirt.
See you in Sonic 2, everybody.
Da-da-da-da.
I do like that they actually earlier on they described that his friends taught him various abilities.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And the accidentally learning how to do the spin attack because Chirps fell out of a tree or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we jump into kind of the last draft.
This one is also incomplete, I think, but it's a lot closer to what I think the final version of the Bible would be.
I like how they even have some little artistic directions. You know, the previous one had this as well, where they wanted to have like a model sheet of Sonic and Robotnik in like a list of different poses. But if you look in like the fourth page here, okay, the final version of this will have a picture of Sonic peeking over the corner of the page like he's narrating the whole thing.
Yeah, we don't actually have any actual art in here. It's just descriptions. But I do like that this has a little introduction from Sonic right off the bat.
I looked, and this is copied like nearly word for word in Stay Sonic as well,
That's true. I like this.
with a little bit of expansion. Jeremy, as our resident Sonic voice, would you care to read this page?
Hey! Don't believe we've met. You were probably moving too slowly. Anyway, I'm Sonic, as in Supersonic, and I want to set the record straight on a few things. So hang with me for a millisec while I give you a newsflash. First, I am not a hero, I'm a superhero. And I'm not like those other vid guys. They may claim to be super, but I'm the original. Funny thing is, I didn't even want to be great. I just am. What else could I do? Once Dr. Robotnik went berserko, I had to save my friends. Lucky for them, I also saved the planet. Second, about my speed. Lots of folks at Sega will tell you how they sweated bits to bust my moves right through the sound barrier. Well, that's true, but they had some help. Don't want to hog any credit, but at the last nanosec, it was yours truly who pumped up the action. How did I do it? Check out the power sneakers for maxed out speed. Now everyone wears them at Sega. And last but not least, there's the hair. My hair. It's blue, it's cool, and it's natural. Why the spikes? Simple aerodynamics. Ever try a supersonic spin attack without spikes? Okay, so now you know all about me. The superhero status, the speed, the fabulous spikes. Let's talk about you. What are you waiting for? It's time to start cruising at supersonic speed. Have some fun. Be the fastest and the greatest. Like me. See you in the Green Hill Zone.
Signature of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. They couldn't get it to his desk in time.
Sonic, could you read this copy for us?
I like at the end, I started imagining, like, tell me about you. What are you looking for in 5 years? What career do you have?
I love the idea that everybody at Sega is just now wearing Sonic shoes. Like, I'm just picturing Tom Kalinske in, like, red and white high tops.
That's really going to help with the game dev process.
Sonic really insisting that, those programmer guys, but I came in at the 12th hour and finished the game.
I told them to tighten up the graphics on Scrap Brain.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This does read a lot like Sonic's character in the West, like in the 90s. This is just right there.
Like, you can absolutely hear that being said in, like, Jaleel White's voice, for example.
Oh,
Yes.
for certain. But yeah, a lot of this is very similar to the information we've already gone off, but with a lot more, like, fleshed out characters. I think this is where we get names for Sonic's animal friends.
Orphaned at an early age, Sonic grows up in the forest of the Green Hill Zone and falls in with a clan of rambunctious animal friends. His friend teaches him all the tricks they know. From Johnny Lightfoot the rabbit, Sonic learns how to outrun every other creature in the forest. From Sally Acorn the squirrel, he learns how to jump incredible distances. And Porker Lewis the pig teaches him how to fear fire.
Thanks, Porker. Teaches him to fear. As we established, Sonic does not experience fear. So.
In the previous draft, I believe it just said that Porker taught him the joys of wallowing in the mud, so this is an upgrade.
That's definitely an upgrade.
Flicky the bluebird influences Sonic with her happy, fearless approach to life. Joe Sushi the walrus shows him how to dive and swim underwater. And from Tux the penguin, Sonic picks up the skill of finding air bubbles underwater. Most important of all, Chirps the chicken inadvertently helps Sonic develop the technique for his supersonic spin attack. As Chirps is learning to fly, he tumbles head over heels out of the nest. Sonic teases Chirps by imitating him, but as he tumbles, Sonic builds up so much speed and he becomes a blur of quills and fur. Before Sonic knows it, he's drilled a hole through the side of a mountain. Sonic meets Dr. Robotnik after accidentally tunneling into a secret underground lab. Robotnik, before he turns evil, befriends Sonic and lets Sonic visit from time to time to watch experiments. When Robotnik becomes evil, Sonic escapes from the lab, returns to the Green Hill Zone, and tries to warn his friends of the impending planetary disaster.
Now you're all caught up. Yeah, I like these little descriptions of the characters. It gives us something to sink our teeth into.
Like, there's a lot of the stuff in the previous draft still copied over word for word with maybe, some exceptions for, like, change names and stuff. I do appreciate that they've got art direction for Sonic.
Yeah.
And they call out, like, the specific Pantone colors for all of the different parts of his body to make sure that everything is on model.
I do like the little descriptions here, though. Like, Sonic must appear youthful, tough, and cocky, but also cute. Robotnik must appear nasty and evil. When illustrating Robotnik in his spaceship, he should still appear evil.
But if you scroll down to about page 26, they have a new section called The Sonic Myth, which is basically, again, taking that original, like, full story treatment and creating an expanded version, including, like, individual scenes to describe moments in this story that end up more or less, like, being directly translated into other media like Stay Sonic and Sonic the Comic.
Like, this is the closest to the finished version of the Sonic origin as we get, I think. At least coming from Sega of America. But this also introduces the idea that Sonic sneakers are friction reducing.
Yeah.
Don't really want to get into the physics of that. I'm not sure if it would actually work. I feel like you just slip all over the place, but it's supposed to be the idea that Sonic's shoes will no longer cause, like, sparks in the lab or something. But, pseudoscience is all over this, so it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
I like how this version of the story also adds in that part of the reason why Robotnik is going after Sonic is because of the fact that, they spent so much time together. And he's like, that accursed hedgehog knows all my secrets. I have to eliminate him before he has a chance to warn anybody or potentially stop me. It gives Robotnik, like, kind of personal stakes in this as well as Sonic, on top of, what the kind of former friendship drama that was already kind of baked in.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, he can't go out with this information or I'm going to get cancelled.
Yeah.
This week on Radical Left Highway.
There it is.
Cancel culture. That's the problem. Oh, God. This version of Robotnik would absolutely be against cancel culture.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Yeah.
Western Sonic naming conventions were largely established here.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite words, is badnik, just because...
So good, though, isn't it?
It's great.
It's very good.
When they started using Eggman's robots, I was like, I mean, yeah, technically they are, but...
It doesn't have as much personality. Right here at the bottom, they've got a guide to the zones with the kind of lore stuff behind the different items in the stages, as well as, like, everything you come across in, like, each one. I find it interesting that they're still using the name Warp of Confusion for special zones and secret zones.
Yeah, they would not be stopped. Those red line notes cannot contain their desire to have these names, and good for them. I like that. I think that covers all the drafts. That's all the Bibles. We've covered all the testaments. I'm pretty proud of us.
That basically covers all of the kind of pre-release Bibles and everything. But this story really digs in deep once we get into what it was repurposed as, which, Chris is the expert on out of all of us, and that is Stay Sonic.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing. There was a book released over here in the UK. Essentially, this is like the Sonic Bible for the UK, which just happened to be, like, heavily referencing the documents we've seen thus far. This is what would be, like, everything that ended up in Sonic the comic, the adventure game books, the Martin Adams novels. It's kind of an expanded version of the story we've seen so far, just with a lot more British humour sort of punching it up, and lots of things that probably went over all of your heads collectively, and some of them that went over mine too, because I don't remember everything that happened in the 90s. It was of its time.
I'm looking in here at some of the creatives attached. It says here, text copyright Michael Pattenden, but I'm seeing some familiar names. Badnik text copyright James Wallace.
Oh, there we go.
Author of two of the best Sonic novels from that era. And then Sega Mega Drive and Master System tips, copyright Tony Takushi, 1993.
The regular in Sonic the comic. Because this isn't just Sonic's backstory. There's little bits like... Basically, both versions of Sonic 2 are represented here. And this is like a little bit of everything for Sonic fans. Like, for me, I had this as a child. I had an actual physical copy of this. I think I've got one in the house somewhere. This is just like a little, like, a guide to Sonic in a way. But it doesn't... Like, everything we've talked about thus far is here. It's just a little more specific, I think.
Yeah, like, I'm looking at the introduction section. It's got the same thing of Sonic introducing himself and everything. And it's almost entirely, like, word for word from the Bible.
Yeah, it just makes a more oblique, like, obvious Mario reference here. Talking about the other guys, the other video game heroes with the
mustaches.
This is, like, used for reference material in a lot of the comics which I read growing up. And if you read, like, the Sonic the comic adaptation of the origin story, which is very much based on this, lots of little bits show up in here, like Sonic reading a comic book called Attack of the Killer Zombie Penguins, and making a very specific burger order and things like that.
Yeah, I think even very funny particular details like Kintober having a book called like The Idiot's Guide to Quantum Mechanics or something like that. It's also very funny.
I like how the story, like the story stuff, begins with just the phrase, "In the beginning there was Sonic."
Yes, that is my kind of Bible. Sonic's introduction story also mentions he was found wandering around in the days by Sophocles, a sharp-eyed owl.
Yeah, see, there we go.
Only ever mentioned in this one sentence. I don't know if it showed up in any other Bible we didn't see, but there's an owl character who found Sonic early on, and there he is. Maybe I doubt he was the inspiration for Old Man Owl all the way in Japan, but maybe Longclaw?
I was gonna say, Old Man Owl might be a happy coincidence, but I mean, I just can't imagine that, Longclaw from the first modern, or, live-action Sonic movie was not pulled from this.
I mean, it's possible that they both drew from the same point of origin, which is all the owl motifs in Labyrinth Zone.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could make sense. But that's just a little thing. That never showed up in any of the other media, by the way. I'm talking about this is the reference material for all the Sonic things, but they saw, everyone writing these other novels in Sonic the Comic saw that sentence and was like, oh, cool. Not going to acknowledge that. It's just an owl character for one sentence.
Yeah.
I do think it's also funny and weird that they mentioned, with made-up space numbers, Mobius's relation to, the planet Earth, truly cementing that this is not the same planet.
No, they mention lots of other planets in this, interplanetary conversations going on, and different universities across planets and stuff. So it suggests this is this whole system of worlds, which is pretty cool, and kind of another coincidence. Sonic Colors would come out later with all those different other worlds that you could visit and make a theme park out of. But this also contains lots of Sonic 2 stuff. While the previous stuff was all Sonic 1 focused, this gives us some time to see some Sonic 2 things, like Tails. And Tails described as more than a bit dim, because they've decided we had no reference for the fact that Tails is actually a genius, so this would certainly carry over as Tails is just a little kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a silly pixel brain. They don't actually use that terminology, but there you go. For all of you wondering why Tails is the way he is in Sonic the Comic, blame this book, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's not too dissimilar in even the American cartoons, where he's just a little kid that tags along. There's not much unique about Tails until, we got, I guess, the OVA and other, Sega of Japan helmed media that made him the boy genius mechanic that he is today. I tell you what, I really appreciate these full color photos of scrambled eggs and toast that apparently Robotnik enjoys eating.
That was important to include in here.
They really expand on Kintabor's background. Kintabor CV makes for impressive reading. Little is known about his family except that they were unremarkable in every sense and that he was adopted. Names of his...
Sorry, I didn't laugh at that. But
well, those are also contradictory, kind of. Just say he's adopted.
The names of his surrogate parents aren't recorded, probably since his achievements rapidly overshadowed them. At 18 months, young Ovi was able to perform complex algebraic calculations and beat mainframe computers at 3D chess. By the age of 4, he was holding lengthy discussions on subjects ranging from molecular structure to team selection and tactics for the World Speedball Championships. He also picked up 5 different languages, including Phoebian, Similesian, and Ursan, by dialing interplanetary video chat lines and clocking up a hefty bill in the process. He developed a habit of reciting lengthy packages of Djongan poetry, leading his parents to believe he was mad. Instead, after extensive tests, he was judged to have an IQ of 268. Child psychologists suggested plenty of external stimuli and cutting back on the E1666 in his diets. Apart from a minor incident which involved the scrambling of a neighbor's planet's starfighters after he hacked into their defense system, Kintabor enjoyed a trouble-free childhood. One excerpt from his school report suggested Kintabor has outstanding ability, though it added, must try harder. Aged 9, Kintabor patented his first invention, a molecular egg stain remover, the first sign of what was to become a major obsession for him. Robotnik went on to obtain every advanced scientific qualification possible from all 11 universities on Mobius. At age 16, he enrolled at the University of Syracuse, where he published a report questioning accepted theories of thermodynamic entropy. His tutor was subsequently dismissed, and Kintabor stayed as head of department, where, with a sizable grant, he began researching to advance cybernetics. He left Syracuse to set up his own research and development business, from which he invented over 100 devices, such as osmotic spectacles, now accepted as everyday eyewear all over the universe, and electronically adjustable platform shoes.
I feel like there had to have been some like just Star Trek-esque gobbledygook thrown in there just for flavor.
Yeah.
None of this, I doubt any of this was in any of the Bibles. I think this is just UK authors having a lot of fun with this.
The only thing that was in the Bibles was the thing about having degrees from all 11 universities.
Aside from that, they're just like, oh, we've got to reach a word count here. I'm going to goof around.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I like...
Yeah, there's a couple of those, like throwing in some like, some alien, what is it, war-torn general, and just some really, again, it sounds very like, I guess Star Trek Next Generation would have been around at the time. Very like Klingon-based names.
Yeah.
I could feel like I could talk about this book for a while, but because this is a part of my childhood, but I like it.
It's very fun.
I like how they really want you to dig in on like how evil Robotnik is. To unwind, Robotnik likes to watch endless horror movies in 3D. He cheers and applauds loudly at the goriest bits. He enjoys...
Now, hold on. I do that too.
Wait. Yeah. He enjoys reading horror stories and obituaries.
Jeez.
Oh.
Depends on who they're for. This is, yeah, I feel like if we talk about this, I'll be here all day. This is, but this is like right here. This is the basis for Sonic in my country, and that's what makes it interesting to me. Is, you know, we've got all these like extensive Bibles detailing Sonic's supposed fictional history in the West, and how much of that ended up in American media. Mobius and Sally Acorn, maybe.
That's
yes. Everything
honestly.
else, I think we brought up, very tangentially mentioned the Sonic cartoon original pilot, which I think all that exists of it is the 2 screenshots that got printed in several things, where you have the blonde Sally and. Yeah, it's so weird. And yes, all of this was painstakingly compiled and designed by Sega of America. And like you said, like less than 1% of it made it into the American media that we would associate with Sonic for the next 25 years or so.
They're very insistent you don't contradict it, so but you can ignore it if you want.
Yes. Because we basically ended up with Sad AM and the Archie comics, and that was the Sonic origin and Bible that the United States ended up with. And none of this stuff, it kind of blows my mind that I am learning most of this like now.
Yeah.
And this is from America. Like, America came up with this, and they just wholesale decided, actually, we'll do our own thing if you don't mind. No Kinterbor, no Sonic developing his powers. But Sally Acorn is there and is a lot more important than she is in any of these documents. But that's kind of, if you wanted to know like what made up the DNA of what I understood to be Sonic as a child, here it all is, and it wasn't anything we came up with. But we elaborated on and we came up with our own things, just looking at Stay Sonic and Sonic the Comic. And even that little promotional comic, although that was America, so whatever. We took that and we rolled with this. We decided, hey, this is some interesting fiction. And, we've come across some of these ideas which I think make for good character things for Sonic. Like, you meant, like, Jeremy was very happy to talk about the tragedy of Sonic. And Sega, you should let Sonic cry over the last one. By the way, you should watch that video. You should watch Brian David Gilbert's video on the Sonic Bible, because much funnier than anything we can say.
We definitely, that was I think the first thing before I even dove into those, and it's a very, very well done, very funny video. Be sure to link it down here, as well as all of this. It's all been painstakingly preserved by I think we've all been reading it from the Sonic Retro uploads that has links to all of this, all the Bibles, the promo comics, thorough like discussion of the Sonic the comic, the issue. It's all there. Definitely go out and read it yourself. It's a quick read.
Yeah.
But that about sums it up. Just for me personally, yes, this is my Sonic childhood. And when I was faffing around with Sonic fanfiction, I definitely spent a lot of time in these and discovered a lot of interesting things, which I'm happy to share with all of you. And thank you, all of you, for allowing me to just indulge by talking about this ultra-specific Sonic topic, which I think is really freaking interesting.
It really is.
Absolutely. And you should definitely, if you want a new interpretation of a lot of this information, you should check out Faulerro's Sonic Chaos in the System story, which is very delightful. And again, takes a lot of this information, and I mean, I can only speak for myself, has been my favorite version of it, at least.
Oh, thank you. This is just my long-winded way of getting around to advertising my fan fiction. I'm glad you went along with it all this time.
I wanted to get in there under the door in case you were trying to weasel out of it.
But, you know, like, I feel like a lot of this stuff maybe isn't relevant anymore to Sonic. So my idea was, what if we took some of these things and applied them in the way that actually works with the games now? Because I feel like we said, there are so many cool concepts here, and God bless Madeline Schroeder for trying to, like, create this weirdly sort of, like, make sense kind of world of Sonic that the games would later be like, nah, it's alright, it's all just animals with powers, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that brings us to the end of this particular topic.
Yeah.
What a journey it's been.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
But that's been it. That's been the Sonic Bibles, the holy word, the scriptures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Thank you for coming along on this journey with us. I suppose we should plug our socials, but you suppose you can find me at Faulerro on Twitter. That's FAULERRO.
You can find me on Twitter at CyberLink420.
You can find me on Twitter at GreatJobJeremy. That's GR and the number 8.
And you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at RockTheJake. And as always, special thanks to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song for the show from the album Gotta Go Slow. Definitely go check out her work on YouTube and Bandcamp, and also follow her on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Now we're at the end of that episode. What are we going to do next week? I'm sure we're glad we spent a lot of time working this one out.
Well, I don't know if you realize this, but there's a certain movie that's coming out, will already be out by the time, people hear this.
Ooh, that's very exciting. Maybe we could discuss a really cool Sonic movie. What do you guys think?
Since the sequel is coming out, I think that it's important that we, take some time to discuss the original Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie.
Yes.
Absolutely.
By which I mean the original Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie.
Yes.
We're talking about the OVA, lads. Yeah, if you're a fan of the OVA, lots of people are. Come join us next time, because that's going to be fun.
Oh,
I
it's
guess.
going to be so much fun.
Going down to the Japanese side of the Sonic stories, that'll be fun. I think we spent a lot of time in the Western side now I look at it, so let's take a look at how things go on the other side of the world.
Oh, good. Another continuity for us to get, we're too wrapped up in.
And it really is its own continuity, so that's going to be confusing.
Yeah.
I can't wait. But this has been another exciting episode of The Hill is Always Greener. I've been Faulerro.
I've been CyberLink.
I'm GameBuddy.
And I'm RockTheJake. Hedgehog, noun, a burrowing animal.
Perfect.
We learned a lot about them this time.
It's true.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.